Baito. Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. Let's bask in the light of Hashem's Torah. Let's learn another amazing Amud from the Gemara. We are now in Kiddushin Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis in the second wide line. Tonu Abonon in the second wide line. That's where we are. Oh Hashem can sit and learn Torah. But the zchus should be for all the soldiers that are fighting. All the kidnapped people should be released very soon, and the whole of Klal Yisrael, everybody. And welcome to you. Welcome to everyone on Torah Anytime and YouTube, on the Zoom. Tonu Rabbanon. We're learning about Kibud Av V'Em. The Kiddushin Masechta we are now delving into is Kibud Av V'Em, respecting, honoring one's father and mother. Tonu Rabbanon. Here's a phone call from Baruch. Tonu Rabbanon. Mechabda b'chayav u'mechabda b'moisoi. A person must respect and honor his parents when they are alive, and even after they die. So even after the parents are nifter, there's still a chiyuv to be mechabed them. B'chayav keitzad. The Gemara is going to give the Bryce. Will give an example of b'chayav keitzad. How would a person be mechabed his parents while they're alive? Let's give one example. Hanishma b'dvar oviv lamokoim. What does that mean? Let's say there's a place, a mokoim. There's a certain place in which a person has some kind of status over there. The people there respect him, and they also respect his father. The father is alive, yeah, and the son is obviously alive. He is the one acting here. He goes to a certain place, and we all know that, some people, they have their connections, they have their clout, they have their influence, and this person is respected in that place, and his father is also respected equally in that place also. Yeah, he goes to, he goes to London. People in London give him a lot of respect, Rosh Hashiva, for example, and also his father gets respect over there. So now he wants to pull strings. He wants to do something good. What should he do? Lo yoimar, he shouldn't tell to the people of that place, shalchuni b'shvil atzmi, maharuni b'shvil atzmi, ptaruni b'shvil atzmi. He shouldn't tell them, send me away for whatever reason for myself, or do something quickly for me, or ptaruni, make me exempt for something because of myself. Elakulu b'shvil abba, which means, let's say this person wants to, he wants to ask people, do you mind if I jump the queue, if I jump the line? Respectful, he's asking, do you mind if I go ahead of you in line? So he shouldn't say, do it for me. He should say, do it for my father. In other words, I'm asking you to do this favor to me in honor of my father, even though they would equally do it for him as well. But he should say, if you want to do it for me, I'm asking you, do it b'chvoid my father, to show that his father in his eyes is more than him. That's the first thing. Says Rashi, if they respect the father less than him, then it's not good. He shouldn't mention the father. That sounds sarcastic. Do it for my father. Everybody knows the father is less respected, so don't do that. B'moisoi keitzad. How is it after his death? How do we know, or how do we actualize kibud av, the father is dead? How do you respect him? Says the Braisa, Hoya omer dvar shmua mipiv. Let's say the person mentions his father. He mentions his father in context of a shmua, which means he wants to say something, let's say dvar Torah, something wise, something good, on behalf of his father. Lo yoimar kach omar abba. He shouldn't just say, my father said so and so, ela, but rather he should add the title, so to speak. He should say, Kach amar Abba mori hareini kaporos mishkovoi, which means, he should say, Abba, my master, hareini kaporos mishkovoi. That's a very scary thing that people have to say, as we're going to see in the first year after the ptira of the father or the mother. You say, hareini kaporos mishkovoi. What does it mean? I shall be the kaporo, I shall be the atonement for his death, meaning that we know that unfortunately, most of us have to go through some kind of Gehenim, if not in Olam Hazeh, in Olam Haba, yeah? So in Olam Haba, the father is going through Yisurim. He says, I prefer to receive those Yisurim instead of him. Wow. I should be the Kapure, I should be, instead of him, I want to receive the Gehenim that if my father deserves anything. When is that true? When does that apply? That is true. That is only true within 12 months. Yeah, within 12 months, that is when you, that's when you say it. Why? Why 12 months? Because it says Mishpat Roshoim began if 12 chodesh. a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, a Gemara in Sanhedrin, different places, yeah, you only make, unless the person is a big apikoires or a chote umachti or oven ben nevat, most people who sin, which is most of us to one level, yeah, you're in Gehenna even for 1 minute, 1 day, maximum of 12 months. And therefore, up until 12 months, you have to be concerned of your father being nido, and you don't feel comfortable about it, and you say, I should be the kapara. Mikan va'elach, how should you refer to a dead parent, a parent that was nifter after the 12 months, after the first 12 months? Oimer, he should say, as we all say, zichroinu livrocha, and you add lechaya olam haba, which makes a lot of sense. In other words, I assume that my father is a tzaddik which did not make it to, which did not stay in Gehenna over 12 months, right? And I say he should be of blessed memory. Lechaya olam haba. Interesting, we don't always say it, right? Lechaya olam haba. He should live in olam haba. In other words, his neshama should stay alive after 12 months. Tanu abonon. Now comes another brisa regarding how you call your father. How do you address your father? Chacham, yeah, let's say there's a Chacham, a Talmud Chacham, who gives Shiur. And you know, by the way, that in the times of the Gemara, the Chacham would give a Shiur. How would he do that? They didn't have microphones, no Zoom, yeah, big room, hundreds of people. Some told me the Chachamim, the Ben Ish Chai, they said they had a miracle. The voice was so strong, everyone could hear him without a microphone. But in the times of the Gemara, the way it was, the Chacham would speak quietly, right, into the ears of a meturgaman, of a translator, interpreter, and he would say it out loud to everybody else. Could be it was also a language thing, Hebrew, Aramaic, I don't know, I'm not sure. Meturgaman means translator or interpreter. Lamaisa, the Chacham would give over the text to the speaker, to the spokesman, and the meturgaman, the spokesman, he would say it out loud. He had a loud voice. He would say it to the public. Tonu abonon. In light of that, let's see the following brayso, Bezos Hashem. Chacham mishane shem oviv v'shem raboi. The Chacham changes the name of his father and the name of his Rebbe, which means, let's say a Chacham, right, wants to quote his father. As we're going to see later, there are many, many Amoraim who are sons of Amoraim. We are in Lamed Aleph Amud Beis, about 6 or 7 lines from the bottom of the page. Line starts with the word haba. Tonu abonon. Chacham mishane shem oviv v'shem raboi. Let's say, yeah, Rabba bar Rav Huna. Let's say, I'm picking an example. Rabba wants to quote his father Rav Huna. He shouldn't say Rav Huna said, even though he says Rav, he should say my father said. My father and my master said. Even with the name Rav, you don't say Rav Huna said. Yeah. Let's say Rav Chaim Kanievsky's son wants to give Shiur. He shouldn't say Rav Chaim Kanievsky said. He should say my father, right? Even more respectful, more like, more reverence. Now the Chacham mishane shem oviv v'shem raboi. Turgeman ein mishane lo shem aviv v'lo shem raboi. The Turgeman does not change the name neither of his father nor of his rabbi, his rov. What does it mean that the Turgeman doesn't change the name? He keeps the name as it is. What does it mean? The Turgeman, the father, whose father? Frekt the Gemore avua de man. Whose father is the Meturgeman mentioning, and the Meturgeman keeps the name and says the name as it is. Ravuna, Rav Abai, Ravashi. Who's that? Ilema avua de Meturgeman. If the Chacham mentioned the name of the father of the Meturgeman, and you're telling me that the Meturgeman doesn't change his father's name, let's say the Meturgeman was a son of an Amoira, son of a big Rav, and this big Rav is mentioned in the Drosha. The Meturgeman doesn't have to change the name, meaning not mention the name, but just say Rav, my father. Is that so? Atu Turgeman lav bar chiyuvu. Is the Meturgeman not obligated, i.e., in Kibud Av? Of course, the Meturgeman has chiyuv Kibud Av. So if his father is mentioned, he can't say Rav Huna. Let's say the Meturgeman is Rav Huna's son. Yeah, don't say Rav Huna. Say what? Say my father of blessed memory, and people know who he is. Elo amarove. Therefore, Rava says Shem Oviv Shel Chacham v'Shem Rabbi Shel Chacham, which means once the Chacham mentions his father's name, the Chacham himself, let's say Rabba, says not Rav Huna, he says my father. The Meturgeman doesn't have to change the name of the father of the Chacham or the Rav of the Chacham, right? In other words, if let's say, yeah, if I'm the Chacham, let's say I want to whisper in your ears, my father said, and you, to the public, you, the Meturgeman, you'll say to everybody else, Rabbi so-and-so, Rav X said that, the Rav who's the father of the Rav, yeah? That's the way to go. What's the Chiddush? I think it's a Chiddush because one could say maybe it's disrespectful for the son to even listen to his father being called Ravun and not being called the father. That much we don't do. That much we're not concerned about. Yeah, the Meturgaman can refer to the Rav's father in his name, Rav Huna, Rav Chizda, Rav whoever. He doesn't have to say the father of the speaker, the father of the speaking rabbi. And the Gemara gives us an example. Yod Mar Baravashi. That's just like Mar Baravashi ki avadorish bepirka. When Mar Baravashi was doiresh, he gave a drasha, a shmuz, a lecture, a Torah lecture in the pirka, in the Shiur, yeah, in the Shiur. Omar, he himself said Abba Mori. He himself said, my father, my teacher. He did not say the name of the father, not even with the title rabbi. Yeah, Rov. I said Abba Mori, to keep that much of a distance from the father. The Amoire, his Amoira, which is really Amoira as a Meturgaman, his translator, his speaker, Omar, Hachi Omar Rav Ashi. He said that Rav Ashi said so and so, because the Meturgaman is not Mechuyev Nekobod of Rav Ashi as much as Rav Ashi's own son, so the Meturgaman can say, so said Rav Ashi. Beseda. Tonu Rabbanon. Tonu Rabbanon. Yeah, good? Weiter. Says the Heilige Braise. Tonu Rabbanon. Ezu Moiro ve'ezu Kibud. Oh, that's a classical piece. My father, Olav Shalom, Zichron al-Rochel Chayil used to always read us this piece of Gemara. Ezu Moiro ve'ezu Kibud. As we said before, at the beginning of the Sugya, there are two separate mitzvahs altogether. One of them is Yira, one of them is Kavod. One of them is Ish Imav Tiro, and one of them is Kavod of what? Kabidus of Yichav. We all know the 10 Commandments. Okay. What's the difference? And what is the practical application of reverence and awe versus kibud, which is respecting in an active way? What's the difference? Moira, what's moira? Loy oimed bim koimoy. He shouldn't stand in his place. What does it mean, stand in his place? It means, says Rashi, let's say the father has a place where he stands with the other elderly, with the other choshev people, be'etza. In other words, he would always stand in a specific place. Yeah, let's say, I heard, by the way, that the Romans used to do that. Anybody here? Most of you have more general knowledge than me. Yes, I think I saw I didn't see photos from times of Rome, but I've seen pictures. Yeah, I think the Romans sometimes at certain forums, when they would when the choshev of people of Rome, whatever that means, they would consult, they would stand, they wouldn't sit. They had a sitting session, but they also had like a thing of the Roman chachomim, they would stand together. I think so. I'm pretty sure about that. I think so. I've heard such a thing. In any event, so maybe Yidden also used to do it. So back then, people would normally stand when they would, take advice from each other. They would have like a. Okay. 1 second. Sorry, there was a Zoom issue. Apologize. Again, don't stand in that place where your father usually stands. Don't stand there. Okay, don't stand in that place. Okay, and okay, yeah. Don't stand in the place where your father always stands with the other elderly. Stay out of there. Stand in a different place. Don't sit in a seat. What's soiser es dvorov? You're not allowed to argue with what your father says. Oh, that's what it sounds like. In other words, your father says X, you don't say Y. Okay, we're going to discuss that soon. What's going to happen if the father is wrong? We'll discuss it later. But normally, if your father says something, you're not supposed to just say, I disagree. Clearly not. Veloy machri'oy. Oh, machri'o is a bit difficult. Machri'o means, let's say the father is a Talmid Chacham and the father argues with another Talmid Chacham. Argument between your daddy and another Talmid Chacham, they argue, and you seem to agree with the other guy. You agree with the other party. What do you do then? What are you supposed to be doing then? Keep quiet and don't agree with the other opinion. Okay? Now, there is a question here. It's all very nice to say, never argue with your father, never side with the other party. But practically speaking, we see in the Gemara, and we see in the Tur himself, Rabbi Asher Balaturim, Rabbi Yaakov Balaturim. The mistake was, who was the father of Rabbi Yaakov Balaturim? The Rosh. Many times the Tur brings down the Rosh and argues with him. How can he argue with the Rosh? Let's say it's the Rosh versus the Rif, let's say, and the Tur sides with the Rif. How can the two do that? It's against halacha. If you're supposed to always agree with your father, right? So some people say that the only disagreement that's not allowed is in his presence, because it's audacious. It's audacious. How do you have the nerve? You have the nerve, the chutzpah, to argue with the father in front of, in his presence, in his face. That is out of line. But let's say the father left the room. That's a different story. You can tell other people in a respectful way, I side with Reb Reuven and not with my father. Another opinion, stricter than that, says, and that also applies to Chachamim, when the father is nifter, then you can disagree with him. I'm talking in halacha. I don't know about other areas of life. In halacha, and then I know also from current rabbonim, they wouldn't dare open their mouth. Somebody told me, a Choshev Rav told me, now that Bracham Kineski was nifter, I can say certain things. Yeah, that was his shita. Not everyone agrees with that. It's a difference once a person is nifter. But in his presence or during his lifetime, don't disagree with the father or with your own Rav also. Okay. Kibud. Now comes the second list. Maichilu mashke. You're supposed to serve him food and drinks. We're going to see later, is it only serving? You're supposed to buy the food, get the drink, get the food. We're going to speak about the financial side soon, but to give your father foods and drinks is a big thing. Malbish umechase. You're supposed to help him get dressed if he needs to put on his coat. Umechase, cover him with whatever, the blanket if he needs to. Machnis umoitzi. You should escort him in and out of the house, right? Your father comes, bring him in, show him in, welcome him in, and take him out. Also to drive around. An elderly parent, you have to drive him around. It's a big mitzvah. You have a car. Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein, there's this pamphlet of Shabbos we get every Shabbos. A very nice man, Reuven, brings it to us every Shabbos. And you have like one of the sections there about Kibbud Aveim. So Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein said, yes, if a son has the car and the father keeps asking him, take me here, take me there, as long, most of the times, unless it's in the cheshbon of davening or learning or anything, you have to take your father a lot. Machnis u'maitzi. You take him, you bring him in and out of wherever he needs to go with your car. It's a very big thing. So now this is the outline for Moira and Kovoid. Oh, now one question here is the $1 million question. Three things we have now to ask: kesef, money, and geld. Iboilu. Here comes the question. Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph. Mishel mi. Aha. Mishel mi macher leo meshkeu mechabdoi. You're telling me that I have to give my father, provide my father with foods and drinks. So when you're a little kid, you serve your mommy and daddy coffee and water. Very nice. Let's say you're a married man. Your father now, you have to feed him. Who's going to pay? Did we mean to say that you have to take your father's credit card to the shop and do the Shabbos shopping for your father? Or do we say no? Do you have to take your credit card and pay for your father's Shabbos shopping? That's a big difference. That's a big question. Yeah? Are you supposed to spend the money on it or not? We're not discussing yet if the father, let's say both the father and the son, both are okay. At this moment, for now, both father and son they have what to eat, they're okay, they're comfortable, they're okay, yeah? So then, still, do I have a mitzvah? Did Chazal mean that I have to provide him with my own money, yeah, to provide him with food, spend with my own money, spend money of my own to buy him food? Or did they mean that technically I have to go and buy and give and serve, but it has to be only on his expense and not on my expense? Machloikes. Rav Yehuda Omar Mishal Ben. Rav Yehuda says from the son, there is a chiyuv, the son has to give from his own money. What Chazal meant was that the son should be the one, even if the father has money. The son is a mitzvah to spend his own money, just like you have to give tzedakah. There's a separate chiyuv. You have chiyuv to give meiser oni, yeah. You have a chiyuv too. I mean meiser ksofim nowadays, yeah. You have a chiyuv to support your father, even if he has money. There's a mitzvah to give him and feed him from your own account, from your own money. Rav Nosan Ba'oshi Amar Mishalav. No, you have no chiyuv to spend money on your own, yeah, from your own kitty, from your own coffers, but give it from the father, Mishalav. If the father has money, give money from the father. Take the father's credit card, do all the shopping and serve him and do it all, make a very nice dish for him. Now Rabbanon came and they paskind halacha, they instructed Rav Yirmiyah, or the Amrila Lebreda of Yirmiyah. Some say that they spoke to Rav Yirmiyah's son, and they paskind Keman Domar Mishel Av. Oh, so now it says Mishel Av, meaning, and that is, by the way, the halacha. Really, the chiyuv is not from your own pocket. You don't have to spend money. you have to spend money from your father's pocket that's not spending. Yeah, in other words, it's not a financial mitzvah, it's a technical mitzvah. The father has a fridge full of food, the father has a nice credit card with a Shana credit line. Go and buy and be toreach. Oh, it says Toisfus. Toisfus is going, and I'm going. Yeah, lately we're into Toisfus. Let's see this, the beginning of the second Toisfus in the page. And what Toisfus says, by the way, is halacha lemaiser, Rabboisai. Says Toisfus, oidul oirule rabbonon birmia keman domer mishel av. Mashma says Toisfus shekach halacha. Mashma that's halacha. Why? Because what did the Gemara say? Rabbonon paskin oiru. They're moire hoiro. They told Rav Yirmiyah that's the way to go. Okay, so that's halacha. V'chen pasuk b'shirtos Ravachai b'parshas Vayishma. Oh, uposak. Here comes big fun. Uposak hecha deleis le'av. Ay, remember what I told you? When both people are financially okay, that's one thing. But hecha deleis le'av. Let's say the father has no money. The father is poor. V'is le'ben, and the son has money. Chayav ben lozun aviv. Ay 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 ay. The son has to support his father, and that is a separate chiyuv. Besides, as we're going to see now about Meiser Oni, that will be discussed, but there's a specific chiyuv tzedakah. Besides the tzedakah you have to give to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, I mean, whoever really needs tzedakah, there is a chiyuv to support your father financially, which is not regular tzedakah. I'm stressing this. It's a chiyuv of kibud av. Kibud av means if the father has no food for Shabbos, and I mean he has no food for Shabbos, you have to buy food for Shabbos from your own money, and that is a separate story, which means it's not a stira. If both of you are okay to do bevakasha, or you have no money and he has money, great mitzvah. Take the father's credit card, lots of fun. Taking daddy's credit card, go have a shop in Yesh, in Kraus, wherever you want. Fill the trolley, go to the father, set it up nicely for him. But if the father has no money and you have money, you're mechuyev to support him with your money. I'm stopping Tosas now because more details are coming in the Gemara, which the second part of Tosas is relating to. Meisivi. So now, by the way, that's halacha. So this morning, the halacha is if you don't have money and if you have money and the father doesn't, you have to support your father financially besides your other tzedakah. Up to what point will be discussed. Meisivi, question from a brisa on this opinion. Nema, it says, kabed es avicha v'esimecha. Yeah, honor your father and your mother. V'nema, kabed es Hashem onecha. And it says also, kabed es Hashem onecha. Also, honor Hashem from your wealth. We saw that, by the way, at the beginning of the sugya. Remember? We saw this 2 dapim ago. Mala alan b'chesron kis. Avkan b'chesron kis. Oh, in other words, just like it says, what does it mean honor Hashem from your wealth? Pay. Give tzedakah to a koilel, to a yeshiva, a paroiches, whatever that is. Honor Hashem with your money. That is kesef. So too, the father, the parents, you should honor with your money. If you're telling me that all I'm supposed to do is feed my father with his money, so what difference does it make? What do you mean respect him with the money? With the father's money, he doesn't make a hole in his pocket. It's very nice to make to perform a monetary mitzvah with someone else's money. That's not called kabed mehoinecha. Answers the Gemara, and this is nogea lebitul melacha. Wow, lebitul melacha, which means bitul melacha. Let's say you lose work time. You could have let's say you're a freelancer, yeah, and in that hour you could have made 100 shekels. Yeah, okay, yes, you could have made 100 shekels, and you're spending time in order to buy your father food. What kind of food? You want to spend money, his money. Thank you. It's his credit card, but I'm missing work. I could have made now, I lost the client. 100 shekels, yes, you should lose the 100 shekels by going to the shop on Friday morning and buy the food for your father. And that's also the halacha. I want to tell you something scary. It says in the Ramah that when you support your father, and you have to support your father, obviously, if he's poor and you're rich, you're not supposed to go beg for money for him. If you don't have money, don't go and beg money. But if it's bitul malocha, yeah, even if you mamish lose a lot of money and you may come to a matzav of poverty, you still have to spend time to support him. Wow. Unless it says if you mamish don't have what we eat today. But if you're going to lose a job, lose a client, lose a lot of money, you may lose a lot of money mitzad the time of work that you're missing. Yeah. You missed a phone call because you worked with your father. That phone call, would have meant a big project of 10,000 shekels. You lose the 10,000 shekels and you spend an hour shopping for your father. Unbelievable. I mean, obviously, you try and avoid that, but let's say there is no way to avoid it. You respect your father. No, not respect. You work for your father to buy him the food and drinks, even if it means that you're going to lose your work. Toshma, more another question on this topic. Toshma, Shnei Achim, two brothers, or Shnei Shutofin, two partners in business, Ha'av ubnoi, father and a son, Harav v'talmidoi, a father and, a Rav and his disciple, his student. What's a common denominator between all these? They are connected. They have some connection, and usually they love each other. Two brothers, two partners, they have business dealings together, father, son. They're all very connected to each other, and yet, although they are closely connected, what does it mean? I want to ask you a question, quiz time, and I know everybody knows the answer. When a person wants to be poide meiser sheni, let's say I took meiser sheni from my own fruit, 10 grapes out of 100, actually it's a bit less than 10 because it's the second meiser, 9 grapes out of 100, it's meiser sheni. I don't have to go to Yerushalayim now and eat I don't have petrol in my car to start eating those grapes. What can I do? Poide. I'm supposed to be poide, change it for money, and the money I'll take to Yerushalayim. What about choimish? Do you have to give choimish? Do you have to add an extra fifth or fourth? Yes. Okay. What about if you, Peretz, my dear friend Peretz, is now giving me his grapes, and the Peretz says, you do this for me, right? I do this for you, with my money, let's say. Do I have to give the choimish? No. Very good. No. In other words, another person doesn't take choimish. Only the person himself on his own fruit has to take choimish. Says the Brisa, those brother and brother, son and son, siblings, son and father, although they're very close to each other, and sometimes they eat from the same account, from the same food, the same source, they still, when one takes meiser over the other one's fruit, they don't give choimish. In other words, they're still called halachically two entities. That's a father, that's a son. They love each other, they feed each other, all very nice, but they're not the same people. And if I have my grapes and my father has his grapes, and I took from his, I took the pidyon on his thing, then I don't have to give choimish. I'm still considered halachically as a stranger for that in that respect. What we care about more is the following statement: Umachilin zelazeh meiser oni, and they feed each other meiser oni. What's machilin zelazeh meiser oni? They're allowed to give each other meiser oni. In other words, let's say one brother knows that the other brother is very poor. One brother can give the other brother meiser oni. What is the chiddush? So Rashi says meiser oni. Even the son and the father, one would say, hey, you would support your brother anyways. Every normal brother wants to support his brother. You'd support your partner anyways. So now you're taking Meiser Sheni and you're giving him Meiser Sheni, you would have anyhow given it. So maybe it's called killing two birds in one stone, which is wrong, because you should know, and I'm sure you do know, that you can't fulfill two financial halachic obligations with one payment. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have to pay membership fees to the shul, to the community, 100 shekels a month. You had an aliyah, and you promised, I'm getting shlishi, and what do I want now? What will I give? What do I pledge? 100 shekels. At the end of the month, you give the guy by one note of 100 shekel, and you say, well, that covers both. My membership fees and also the aliyah. Can you do that? Meshuggah, obviously not. That's beyond miser and very crooked. You have two separate chiyuvim. Comes the Bryce and tells me, listen, although you would have given out of the kindness of your heart, you would have given money to your brother anyways, but it's not a complete chiyuv, and therefore you can do it through Meiser Oni. Meiser Oni is the closest thing that we have to today's Meiser Ksofim. So that's okay. Frag the Gemara, it's okay with brothers, with partners, with friends, but if you're talking about a son and a father, there's a trick here, there's a red herring. Ve'i omat mishel ben, if you're telling me that the son is a halachic, clear halachic chiyuv, not a general tzedakah idea, it's a specific halachic chiyuv to support his father, whatever the father needs, then it's wrong. Then it comes out that he's basically paying his debt on the back of the anim. that is mamish like the guy who's paying his pledge of the aliyah and the monthly membership fee at the same time with the same note. In other words, you say, okay, let's say his father needs to live 5,000 shekels a month. That's not the din tzedakah. You have to give him, if you have to give him 5,000 shekels a month. You have to give him 5,000 shekels a month. So now you say, hey, wait a second. Baruch Hashem, I make 50,000 a month. Let's cover my father's, meiser, let's say my obligation to my father, I'll cover with that 5,000, which in that case is meiser oni. You can't do that because it's two separate chiyuvim. One is chiyuv meiser oni, and one of them is supporting your father. If you say it's a very clear, not a general, nice, loving idea, you really have to financially give him 5,000. It's not something potential and nice and airy-fairy. It's a real thing. You can't cover that, You can't kill that, two birds with one stone halachically. So how do you do that? Answers the Gemara, loy, sricha lehadofo, for the extra, which means, let's say the father, to live minimally, he needs, let's say him and his family need 5,000. So that minimum, I give him not from the meiser. I give him every month above meiser because it's a separate chiyuv. But let's say I see the father's just about managing with 5,000 a month. He could very well he'll feel more comfortable and better with another 1,000. Oh, that extra ha'adofo, the extra 1,000, that I can give him with a meiser oni. Because that would make him happy. That's kilo the extra, which I'm not mechuyav midin kibud ovaim, right? So the 5,000 is covered by one section kibud ovaim. The extra 1,000 or 2,000, which will definitely help him. They're finally buy, I don't know, nicer clothes, a fridge that they need, the fridge broken. Yeah, not yours. I mean the father's. So washing machine. They need the extra thing, that ha'adofo, that extra, that he can cover from the meiser oni. That's very good. And by the way, that's halacha. If so, if so, how come it says about this brisa, Omer Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yehuda vehemently argues on what we just said. Rabbi Yehuda is a Tana in the Mishnah, in the brisa, and he says, Tova me'era, a curse should come, lemisha machilas oviv meiser oni. A curse should come to the one who feeds his father meiser oni. Pshia, that's a shtal keloshen. Rabbi Yehuda is very much against the one who feeds his father from the meiser oni. Dila adofa, my nafkamina. If it's a mele, if you don't want to kill two birds in one stone, I understand, Rabbi Yehuda. You're being unfair. You're trying to, catch eat the cake, have the cake and eat it. But if you were only talking about extra, why is it so bad? Why is Rabbi Yehuda so angry? No, I'm giving my father very nicely what he needs, the minimum. And the extra bit I give from the meiser oni. Why is Rabbi Yehuda so upset with us? Answers the Gemara, Atilu hachi, nevertheless, zila bei nilsa. It's still considered as a cheap thing to do. It's a zilzul in the father. In other words, the father should not receive your tzedakah money. I don't know if the father knows about it or not. That's another question. You can ask me the question. I don't know. But the mere fact you give your father the tzedakah money, even though it's the extra money, it's still considered as a zilzul. There's some kind of disgrace over here, and you're supposed to give all the money you want to give your father, 5,000, 7,000. You want to give him extra? That's a very nice idea. Give it to him, not on the expense of the anim. Keep the cheshbon separate completely, says Rabbi Yehuda. You give the anim the meiser of the oni, and you give the father the special whatever he needs for his livelihood, more or less. That's the answer. As far as I remember, that's halacha. Yeah. So Bekitz halacha is you're not supposed to support your father from your own money if he has his own money. In other words, there's no the mitzvah is a mitzvah begufo. It's a mitzvah begufo, not the mamoinah. So if everyone does well, Baruch Hashem, nobody is poor, everyone's living okay, living comfortably, then what? The son has a chiyuv to feed his father. Serve him the food, serve him the drink, buy him the food, buy him the drink, great. But she'ein ken, if the father has no money and the son does, then the son has a very clear chiyuv outside his chiyuv of maasros to give the food to his father. But a third point, the son may lose time from work. Ask a local Orthodox rabbi to what point, but it's quite chomor. Mashman alocha, we go to quite an extent that if shopping for your father for an hour, 2 or 3, a whole supermarket shopping, you do that instead of him, you may lose clients. People still need to have, ventot in their house. They still have to have whatever translations done, whatever they need. You stop the work and you go to your father. I mean, obviously, you have to also be fair with your customers. So that's another question, right? You can't leave them hanging. ask a potent posek. Yeah, that's. But the Gemara is just giving us the outline. Yes. Okay. Well, yeah. Mhm. Oh, now we're going to quote something we saw before. And I remember telling you something there about the money side. Now we're going to get it clearer. Toshma. Shalas Ablezer. They ask Ablezer the question, Adechen Kibud Av. How far does Kibud Av go? Right? We saw these amazing stories. And here we go very strong. The aim. The aim is the same thing, Kibud Av. Aim. Yeah. Mother and father are the same for that. I keep saying father, but obviously, yeah, it refers to both genders. Omer said Rabbi Lezer to the Talmidim, Kedei shitul arniki, let's say the father or mother, they take an arniki, a wallet, a wad of cash, yeah, vizreken aleam befonov, he throws it to the ocean in front of him, and the son keeps quiet. Oh, so now, who is the owner of that money that was just thrown into the Atlantic Ocean? Who is it? Oh, ve'i omat mishel av. If you're telling me I'm not supposed to lose money from my father, maybe to drive around for an hour, miss work, and I'm not supposed to mamish spend money that I already have, I'm not supposed to spend it for kibbud av. And if you say so, my nafka lemine. In other words, if according to this opinion that says I'm not supposed to spend money, then if my father throws my money into the ocean, then as I said before, I'll take him to Beis Din. I'm supposed to not shout at him and call him names, chas v'shalom, but I can protest. I can stop him and I can take him. Yeah, in other words, and there are cases even in the Gemara thing. The son could take his father to Beis Din. Yeah, in a respectful way. Elamaisa, if so, must be that that's not the case. Must be that the father threw his own money, and then I'm supposed to keep quiet because I'm not losing money. I'm keeping quiet. Frag the Gemara, man afkalamine. What's the chiddush? In other words, the father throws his own money to the ocean, and then what? I'm not supposed to say anything. Why should I say anything? I don't care. He behaves like a crazy with his own money. Why should I care? Senator, that's my father and his shtuyot. I shouldn't think it. I shouldn't say it. But okay, Senator, do whatever you want with your own money. Why is it such a big nisayan? What's the big chidush halacha over here? What? No. According to the one that says no. Leman de Omar that says Mishal Av. Again, you're missing. No. That's exactly the attack. Again, you didn't get it. Again. According to the opinion that says that the son's supposed to support the father, then in the Chanami I understand. Yeah, in other words, he took my money and he threw it to the ocean. Quiet. Instead of him buying the 5,000 shekels and using it in Yesh, in Osher Ad, he took my 5,000 shekels, threw them into the ocean. I'll keep quiet and I'll get new money. But that's a chiddush. But if you say that that's not the halacha, if you say that I'm not supposed to spend money for my father, and then I assume that the money that he throws is his money, because had it been my money, I would have protested. So what is the money that he's throwing and I keep quiet? His money. If it's his money, why should I care? Because he behaves crazy? So then he can say, the father went and put banana peels on his head in the middle of a chasana. Why are you choosing money example? Money is an issue here. It's a lot of money. If it's his a lot of money, let him do whatever he wants. And the clear answer is, what do people think about when the parents are old? Sometimes Yarisha, when there's a will, there's a lawyer. When there's a will, there's a way. Manaf answers the Gemara, it's a son which is a potential heir. It's in the air that it is an heir. H-E-I-R. Ay. He feels like, why did you throw my inheritance into the ocean? You never loved me. You didn't give me my favorite type of pizza when I was 3 years old. All the traumas are coming up. Yeah. How can you now throw the money of my Yerusha, potential, but a lot, yeah? You're throwing it into the ocean, keep quiet, don't say anything, Bekabel alecha sadin be'ava, and say, would you like a cup of coffee, daddy? And keep whistling and keep living. As an example, we're being a story. Yeah, for example, Rabba, the son of Ravuna, remember the names. It's a story. Yeah, Rabba was the son of Ravuna. The Ravuna, Kora Shiroi Banpe Rabba Brei. Yeah, Ravuna once tore Shiroim is nice silk clothes, high quality clothes from Herod's. Yeah, and he tore the Shiroim in front of his son. Why did he do that? And Amoira would start tearing things. He said, Ezul Eichze Irotach Iloirotach. I want to test him and see if he's going to be angry or not. That's the point. In other words, money is not the issue here. The issue here is that, yeah, the fact that he throws the money, right, into the ocean, potentially it's Yerusha, and the son may also get angry. Yeah, in other words, he can't take him to Beis Din. Let's say the father spent all the money of the Yerusha. It's not a real monetary issue. It is and it's not. Meaning, let's say one's father, the father said, whatever is left after my death, you know, whatever the lotion is, goes to my son and that goes to my daughter. You can do that, and then the father sold everything, we gave everything. Halachically, the kids can't say anything. He didn't say, I'm giving it to you now. If it's left over when I die, then it goes to you. And I know a month before his death, he's not a prophet, but he was a month before his death. He gave everything to the Kids with Cancer Association. He gave it all to the RCCPA, I don't know what it's called. He gave it all to the Donkey Sanctuary, or better, he gave it to Yeshiva Mir, much, much better, to Avos Shalom. They're left with no Yerusha. They can't take him to Beis Din, but obviously they'll be very upset. That's the issue. Will he be really angry for the potential money that you lost? Will you or won't you? Says Allah, keep quiet because of Kibud Avayim. You may be an angry guy. Go and, break a hefker item. No, do something else. Don't show your anger on your father. It's the same as this Amoira, Rabba, Ravuna himself. He tore his clothes, which were nice and fancy, and I believe potentially they would be inherited to his children. And he tore it in front of Rabba to see irotach, ilay. He wanted to test him. Will he or won't he get angry? I want to test, make an anger. He has an anger meter, yeah, to see the level of anger of my son. Frag the Gemara, okay, that's a nice test for the father to do to his son, but frag the Gemara, that's not so simple to test people in mitzvahs and averos. Well, that's a dangerous test to run. Why? Because maybe the son will be angry and will say something bad to the father, says the Rashi, and then you, the father, you are over lifnei velotit and michshol. We all know what that means, right? For example, yeah, whenever you test your friend, will he or won't he sin? If he will sin, if he does sin, you are over lifnei, right? Yeah, you don't leave open internet with an open computer in a closed room and see how the guy will react when he opens the computer. You don't do that. Why? Maybe he'll go to a bad site. It's your fault. It's his fault also, obviously, but it's your fault of lifnei. You don't assist the virus, so don't play these funny games. So how did he do that? Yeah, how did the father do that to his son? So the Moira answers the Gemara, the machil leili kore. He prepared it halachically in a very smart way. The father, Rav Huna, was moichel his kovoid, which means, as we're going to see later, as severe as kibud avim is, parents, if they want to, they may be moichel on their kovoid. In other words, kibud avim is not ben odom lamo. It's not. I'm saying it carefully. It's not halachically ben odom lamokoim. Halachically ben odom lachaveroi. If I tell you, Yosef, you can take all my money. Take my tie, take my phone. I allow you, if you want, take it. Are you a ganev? You're not a ganev. It's ben odom lachavero. If I allow you generally to take whatever I have, that's not ganeva. If the father is moichel his son, he says, okay, don't give me anything to drink, don't give me to eat. I'm fine. I don't mind. You don't have, I'm moichel all mekovid. You can even say, you can even get angry with me. I'm moichel, you can even get upset with me, and I'm really cool with that. Oh, so since the father was moichel his kovoid, right? Even if the son goes and tells him, "Hey, why did you do that? Why did you tear up the garment, the silk?" Even if he does that, the father doesn't really care, and it was moichel, and therefore the son is not over. The Toises is asking a question, is pointing out. Let's see Toises inside. Toises, we can't Toises people. Toises, the second to last Toises, says a very interesting thing. Does the son know that the father was moichel or not? Says Toises with tzorich lama shodio kodem lochen. The father told him in advance, a day or two before, he told him, Rabba, I'm moichel all my covered. You can do whatever you want to me. You can shout at me, you can scream at me, you can face, whatever you do goes. It's fine. And then the son knows that even if he gets angry with the father, it shows as a bal kas, so he didn't pass the test, but he wasn't over kibud avein. Why do you have to say that the father said that to the son? Says Toisves, what happens? That's a question people ask me more than once. Let's say somebody not so frum, or his Yetzer got the better of him, and he went and he ate chazir. He really, once in a lifetime, he has to test that tray for food. His FFB never tasted chazir, and he what? Which does make a difference, right? Chazir with tray for cheese, yeah, with good nesach wine. He has that dish so delicious. Strangely, it tastes exactly like lamb. Comes out afterwards, people tell him, that what you ate was lamb, kosher lamb, but that's the Charedis and Rav Landau. So he wanted to sin, but he didn't sin. He still needs a kapara. That will be a sugya later on. Still not a good thing to do. If your intention was bad, if you sinned unknowingly, it's not chiyuv chatas. You didn't really do anything bad, but it's not a good thing to do. So you must say that Rav Huna was aware of the fact, the Rabbah was aware of the fact that his father was moichel the kovod, right? So there's no issue of kibbud over but the father still wanted to see if he gets upset. Okay, now there's a question on the father. How can the father tear that piece of nice garment? The father is over baltashris. You're not allowed to destroy and ruin good things. How did the father do that? Yeah, it's baltashris. Answers the Gemara, the oved lebepumbioni. He did it by the hem, by the seam, not by the hem, but the seam. Right? I meant that. By the seam, he did it by the seam, yeah, not the seam of the phone, SEAM, right? He tore it there when you can fix it, restitch it very easily. Frag the Gemara, thank you. So what's the test? In other words, could be that the son sees his father tearing the right by the seam where it can be restitched. Maybe that's why he's not angry. It's not a real anger test because the son, right, knows he can restitch it easily. And says the Gemara, big psychological rule here. The Ovid lebishas rischei. He did it to the son when the son was already a little bit angry. The son was a bit angry, whatever it means, anger by the Maroim. There were big tzaddikim. Maybe was angry because he heard the wrong svara in the Gemara. But Rabbah was angry to a point. And when when somebody's already angry, every little thing makes him angrier. We know that, right? You're already in a bad mood, so every tiny thing gets you even more into that rotten mood. So that's why, even if you tore it by the seam, still would have made him angrier. That was the test his father wanted to test him. Even when you're angry, do you still control your anger? Because if I tear it here, you would notice you're so out of yourself. Yeah, you're so besides yourself. So that was the test. Are you going to get angrier or not? That was the Maisa. But the Maisa, when it comes to money, it doesn't show anything. Because why? We're not talking about the son's shiroim. It was the father's shiroim, which would be potential inheritance of the son. The question is, will the son get upset for losing the potential yarish? Yes, questions? Quick, he was first. Yeah. Baruch is asking a good question. The one who throws the money to the sea also is over Baltashchis. Very easy answer. The story of the one throwing the money was not a story, it's a theoretical halacha. If your father does so and so, if one's father, in theory, throws the money into the sea, the son should not get upset. We're not talking about an Amor who actually did it. Meshenken here, with tearing the nice silk cloth, it's a real life story about a real Amora. And there that begs the question, this is an Amora, not Shlumi Eli, and therefore, if he tore it, that begs the question: how was he ever Baltashchis? Which means Enechnami. If you throw the money, it is Baltashchis. No Amora did that. It's not a retold story. It's not a narrative that actually happened, and that's why you're right. Yeah, it would be Baltashchis, but that's a different issue. The son still has to keep quiet, although the father's going nuts and throwing the money. Lifnever. Right, again, all these questions can apply, but it never really happened. If the father keeps throwing the money again and again and again, that would probably fall under the category of the mother of Ravasi, who went, excuse me, Meshuga, the Rambam Paskins, as far as the member Shulchan Aruch Paskins, you deal with her and you go away, you put her in a home, you do something. And if it repeats itself too many times, I assume that falls under the category of I'm sorry, I'm not a professional health I'm not a mental health professional. I can't deal with it. So what can I do? Put her in home, put her somewhere, and I'll go live my life. And Echnami. That's not the story here. The story is a one-off, or maybe once or twice. Okay. Yes. Let Ellen. Matni la Rav Yecheskel. Now we're in the two dots of Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, and now we're going to learn a real-life story again about the fact that one should not correct his father in a rude way. In other words, let's say there's an argument between your father and somebody else, or your father sits at the Shabbos table and says that Dvar Halacha, and you know that he's downright wrong. What do? Not supposed to soiser, but you know he's not saying the right thing. So what do? So Matnile story, Matnile Rav Yechezkel. Remember the names, it's a family dynamics over here. Matnile Rav Yechezkel Rami Brei. Rav Yechezkel taught his son Rami. There's an Amoira mentioned many times, Rami Bar Yechezkel. Rav Yechezkel, the Amoira, taught his son called Rami the following statement. The following statement is based on a Mishnah in Sanhedrin. Anisrofim baniskolim. What does that mean? We all know that some people, they executed halachically by sreifa, right? You put hot lead into the mouth and they die. And some skila, you throw them off the rooftop, obviously only once in 70 years, v'chule v'chule. And the question is, which one is more of a severe death, sreifa or skila? I'll save you the work, and it's a machloikas. The common opinion is that it is skila. Skila is supposed to be more severe halachically. It's the hardest one. I don't say cruel. It's not cruel, but it's the hardest one. It's the most severe one of the four. Right? Is skila. However, Rabbi Shimon says that sreifa is the worst one. Sreifa is the worst. Yeah, it's a competition between sreifa and skila. The other two, hereg and chenek, are for sure easier. Yeah, to just chop off his head, to behead him, or to strangulate is easier. Sreifa and skila are a competition. Which one is the bad boy? Which one is the worst one? Now, what happens? That's another akdoma. I doubt we'll go very far today. It's akdoma. What happens if you have a few people? Yeah, let's say like in Texas. Yeah, you have people waiting, right? The death row, right? They're waiting for the death. There is no the death sentence. And now, let's say there's one room with a few people waiting for the death sentence, which halachically, by the way, don't have death row. You're supposed to kill them the morning after. Not once there's a psak. You're not supposed to wait in demand in the din. In halach, I don't know about American law. I don't really care, to be honest. Yeah. Let's say there are a few people all waiting for the death sentence. Some of them are supposed to get onish streifa, and some of them are supposed to get the onish skila. And whoops, the secretary of BSD or the secretary of the jail, he got confused. He doesn't know which one's which. I don't know if they're believed. They have their own interest. Yeah. We don't know who are we supposed to be soikel, who are we supposed to be saref, who is supposed to do the straight for the skill. Now, and we know, I don't know if you remember, but there are 10 different nafkaminas from the fact that it says in the Torah that tzilu ha'eda. Beis Din always have to be merciful within that Beis Din ruling, which sounds very harsh to us. Beis Din have to be very forgiving and very lenient within that, with many nafkaminas. One nafkamina, this is to do with us. If there's a question, this guy, are we supposed to do straight for skila? Rabbi Dayan, don't remember. Then you always give him the lighter punishment. I'm not sure if he deserves skila or streifa. Then the mainstream opinion would say, you don't know if it's skila or streifa, give him streifa, which is lighter, which is more lenient. Mashenkin Rabbi Shimon says, no, I believe that skila is the easier one. You don't know skila or streifa. I agree that you have to give him the lighter kind of oinesh, the more lenient. I think lenient means skila. Okay, that's machlokas and the common Rabbi Shimon. This happy note. Okay, let me just finish the sentence. Rabbi Shimon Oimer says, Rabbi Shimon, you have a mixture of people here. Oops. There are a few skila, a few streifa. What do we do? Says Rabbi Shimon, yadunu b'skila. Do skila to all of them. Why? Because I believe skila is the lower, relatively easier, lenient kind of death. You always pull them down to the easier one. Shasreifa chamura. That is what Rabbi Cheskel taught Rami, his son. He taught him that dvar of Tanoim, that dvar braysa. Omer le Rav Yehuda Brei. Well, just one more line. Rav Yehuda was another son of Rabbi Cheskel. Rav Yehuda, the brother of the kid, not the kid, of the Amoyer studying from the father, the brother of the kid who's the son of the one speaking. Abba, lo titni achi. Hey, daddy, don't teach him like that. No, it's wrong what you're saying. Tomorrow, you have to come tomorrow. That's it. To know the second part of the story. Cliffhanger. Thank you so much to everybody who came here today. Such a lovely day with everybody around with the Torah Kedoshah. And everyone should come back from Gaza alive and safe and healthy. Everybody dance with Mashiach in Yerushalayim very soon. all the Torah should end. Thank you to our Torah Anytime and YouTube viewers. We appreciate your participation. Thank you so much. Hatzlacha u'bracha.